Namaste everyone. In today's video, we're going to focus on Muni Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 3.44. Now in this Yoga Sutra, Muni Patanjali is explaining the Vibhuti which concerns the Pancha Mahabhutas and how a yoga sadhak can actually begin to understand and gain control over all 5 of these elements through certain yogic techniques and practices. So let's take a good look at this sutra, start breaking it up word by word and understand it a little bit better. So the sutra itself goes, Sthula Swarupa Sukshmanvayarthavatva Sanyamada Bhuta Jayaha. Alright, so this is the sutra itself. Now let's break it up word by word and start understanding it a little bit better. The first word in this case is Sthula. Now, before we begin describing them actually, there are 5 different particular words that are given here which relate to the Pancha Mahabhutas. So the first word in this case is Sthula, which refers to gross. The second word that we come for is Swarupa, and Swarupa means one's own natural form or one's form. Then coming to the third word, we have Sukshma, and Sukshma refers to subtle. Then the next word is Anvayatva. This means the relatedness or the relation between. And then finally, the last word or in this 5-word series is Arthavatva. And this means the purposefulness or the meaningfulness of something. Now, these are the 5 words that we need to keep in mind. They're going to come up in the explanation as well. So let's just keep these top 5 words in mind. And then moving to the next, we have Sanyam. Now, Sanyam, as we all know by now, is Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi, all combined called Sanyam. And then we come to Bhuta, which means the Pancha Mahabhutas or the 5 elements of nature. And then finally, the last word is Jaya, which means mastery over. So these are the 5 different words along with a few more explaining and combining the sutra all together. Now let's take a look at what does the sutra mean on its own. So the sutra means that we need to do Sanyam on 5 of these different words with respect to the Pancha Mahabhutas to gain their complete knowledge and mastery. And these 5 words were the grossness of the Pancha Mahabhutas, their natural form, their subtlety, followed by their relatedness and their meaningfulness. So these are the 5 different words. And by focusing on these elements of the 5 elements, we're able to now start to control them, understand them, and really bring them under our wishful control. So now let's go deeper into the sutra, start understanding even more thematically what this means and how a yoga sadhak usually works with it. Alright, so according to the sutra, and as we know according to the Sankhya theory as well, all inanimate objects and all elements are made up of the 5 key elements. Now these 5 elements help to form a particular substance or a particular object in different permutations and combinations. But essentially, these are the 5 elements that help something to come together. The 5 elements are space, air, water, fire, and earth. And so these 5 elements now join together, fuse together to form our gross objects, and everything around us is formed of these Pancha Mahabhutas in some or the other combination. Now, since they combine to come together to form a particular object and they form that gross nature of the object, of course, what that also means is they must have their own natural form as well. So they must be able to be alone in that sense or to exist as individual elements as well, which of course they do. And that shows us their own natural form, which is what we can concentrate upon. And then comes the third element, which is the subtle form of these 5 elements. Now, the most subtle form is considered to be Shabda, which is the Tanmatra. So, a lot of the Tanmatras permutate and combinate to then give us the 5 elements or the Panchamahabhutas. So these 5 Tanmatras go from subtle into gross, and the most subtle one is the Shabda, or the one which results in sound, which corresponds to air. So this now starts to help us to form the subtle closets and the subtle pockets that really help to form the 5 elements in their entirety. And we have explained Tanmatra as well as the Panchamahabhutas in much more detail in the video on the Sankhya theory, so you can definitely check that out. But essentially, these are indicating to us that the Tanmatras are the subtle form which we need to focus on of the much bigger 5 elements. Then from there, of course, we're now coming to the relatedness of these. So we understand their relatedness through understanding the Tanmatras, the 5 different elements, how all of them come together and give rise to this whole creation that is around us. And even our bodies, everything that we know is made up of these elements in some or the other combination. And then eventually what gives it meaning is the Arthavatva, which means the purposefulness, the intent with which that particular thing has been created. So, of course, it takes a lot of time to bring all these elements together. These are 5 different sub-areas that a yoga sadhak will have to focus on. And as and when the person focuses on these sub-areas more and more, starts to get deeper insight into the gross nature, the natural form, the subtle form, the relatedness, the purposefulness, as that becomes more and more apparent, the yoga sadhak will then be able to tap into the elements directly and be able to do anything that he or she wishes with their manifestation. Now that's why this is literally that phrase, with the more power comes more responsibility. And a person or a yoga sadhak who is able to concentrate so deeply on 5 different elements that result in the 5 elements, such a person will need to wield their responsibility very, very carefully. And so this sutra is indicating that through understanding these 5 building blocks of the 5 elements, we can really truly begin to tap into and harness the power of anything that creation has manifested. And so that is really, really incredible. But as always, the yoga sadhak must do this only for universal welfare, or if it's required on the spiritual path, and not something for selfish or worldly gain. So that is what this Sutra 3.44 is all about. Quite an easy to understand, easy to comprehend sutra, but of course we go into it in much more detail in our classes, courses and workshops. So if you're interested in joining in, please do hit the link in the description and join in for our class, so you can also ask us your questions, doubts in a live session and get some information and feedback from us. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and also don't forget to share this video with your friends and family, especially those who are studying the Yoga Sutras or yoga philosophy. Apart from that, if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us on the links in the description, and we cannot wait to see you in the next video or in our next class. Until then, take care, and we're going to see you very soon. Namaste.